It's been a minute, but I'm coming back on. Who to Watch Sports 2024. Thank you for being on with me. I wanted to make sure that um, we've been doing a lot of research for this particular session that I we wanted to bring to you. We wanted to bring to you is Who to Watch Sports. And this is regarding the kickoff returns. Remember, I said at the kickoff return scores. And so, what I wanted to do is kind of capture the players throughout the NFL that have been very large, had large presence in this class. And do you know what I found out? There are not a lot of them. So, for what I would like to say to challenge the NFL players on the teams now to kind of pick up the class and keep it going with the statistics because there are far and few in between. So, but I will tell you this: there are a lot of them that have 100 yards plus. However, the class has expanded. I initially started with 100 yards, and then I started getting the ones that are above that. So we went from 105 up to the highest, which I think is 109, 109, 110. So I'm just going to give you some statistics on that from 105 for really 106 up to 1010. 105 had 15, I think it's like 10 players or 15 players or 19 players total. So based on mine, let me just go through my analysis, okay? But I really want to, I'm really excited about this because I said I wanted to put some attention on the kick return. I want to put some attention on the punters. We're going to do the punters next. The field goal kickers, the linemen, uh, special teams, which is what we're doing here with the kickoff return, and a couple of other uh, positions in the NFL that you normally don't get a lot of attention or media attention on. So I am excited to be the one to kind of bring this to you and see one, what is already out there, two, discovery has been interesting for me, and then three, that there's a lot of left. There's a lot of openings left, even with the ones that we have that have made some major historical performances in the kickoff return. There's still room for more, and there's still room for some to break those records that are out there. So let's get started with that. I call it the Who to Watch Sports kickoff return scores. Um, it's called Rush into the End Zone Power. And the class of 105 yards or more, 105 yards or more. However, I'm only going to be featuring those players that are like a 106 or more. So right now we have a total of 19 total players with 105 or more kickoff return touchdown yards. That's pretty impressive. However, I expected the number to be much higher. So let's get started. What I have first is on we have the number one leader starting with the most yards is going to be Cordarrelle Patterson. He was of the Vikings, 109 yards. He holds the record. He's still in 2013 the NFL longest kickoff return in NFL history, and he is the only player to still hold the record of the longest kickoff return. So this is where I say there's an opening there for somebody to match that. Um, and so then the next yards are 108 yards. There's only one player. So let me just go back. Cordarrelle Patterson is the only player right now in the history books with that 109 yards. On the 108 yards, there's only one player. His name is Jacoby Jones, and he was with the. Well, let me go back to Cordarrelle Patterson. I'm sorry, he played for the Vikings. And then the 108 yards is the one player is Jacoby Jones who played for the Baltimore Ravens. Now watch this. He is the only his historical statistics in the NFL is he's the only player in NFL history to have done it twice, 108 yards twice. He did it in 2013 at the Super Bowl with the Ravens and the 49ers, and he did it in 2012 with the Ravens game against the Cowboys. Baltimore Ravens player, Jacob Jones. Then 108 yards, we have five players. Those players are Charlie Jones of the Cincinnati Bengals. We have David Johnson of the Arizona Cardinals. We have Nile Davis with the Kansas City Chiefs. And then we have Randall Cobb with the Green Bay Packers. And we also have bringing up the rear is Ellis Hobbs. Now, let me just say this. I have the years for Hobbs, Ellis Hobbs with 2011 was with the Patriots. And Randall Cobb, Green Bay Packers, he did it in 2011. He was with the Packers. Now Davis, Kansas City Chiefs in 2013. David Johnson in 2015, and Charlie Jones with the Cincinnati Bengals. And I still haven't found when his was. I think he's still a part of that list. I have to check that. And then 107 yards, we have three players, which is Josh Huff for Philadelphia Eagles, which was in 2014. Look at these years. Joe McKnight, New York Jets in 2014. And he set a franchise history with that longest kickoff return for the Jets. Brad Smith is New York Jets. He was in 2014. And then we have 106 yards. We have four players. We have Brad Smith for the New York Jets. That was in 2009. We have Nolan Smith, Kansas City Chiefs in 1967. We have Alvin Kamara, New Orleans Saints in 2017. And we have Roy Green, St. Louis Cardinals, which was in 1979. And then we have 15 players that have 105 yards or more. So this is what I want to challenge. I want to challenge everybody on the special teams to fill in the gap. There's the 105 players. We know we have a lot of them. We have the 106. We only have four players in that category. And in that category, the years is 1979, 1967, from 1967 to 2009. No player in the NFL has gone 106 yards in the NFL for a kick return in the 2020s and above, 2010 and forward. So there's room there for someone to be on to be added to the list. Then with the 107 yards, we only have three players, and those players were all from 2014. So that's 10 years that we have had no one to do 107 yards. And then you see why I'm having such an excited time with this. And then in 108 yards, we have five players. And I don't have any player in here. The list goes from 2011, I think, to 2017 or 16. So we still don't have any players for even the 2020 forward that have gone 108 yards. So we're in 2024. Come on, guys. You got to bring up the rear. And then for 108 yards, we haven't had any players since 2013. That's 11 years ago. That's pretty more frequent. And then we have the one player with 109. So only 19 players. There's so much room for 105 or more kickoff touchdown yards for players to bring up the rear and add to the list. So I wanted to my sources for getting some of this information came from the database team rankings and the football database, and I think ESPN or NFL had some names on there as well. I just want to say that I am so excited that I created this Who to Watch Sports, because the more I do my research, the more I see why um, I named it Who to Watch, because, like I said, I wanted to get those players that really don't get a lot of press. And I'm hoping that through this challenge, that you all will wake up to the challenge to be able to add yourself to this list and be able to meet some of the either meet some of these accomplishments from former players from years ago and bring it forward to the 2024. And so the special teams, you're up on deck now. It's on you, because I'm putting it out there. There's a lot there to add your name. Out of all the teams in the NFL, there's special teams you can add your name by making this list, specifically the 106 and above. So I hope to be able to be surprised this year that we get that accomplishment through some new players that will be added to the list, and update the list with some present and current players that are actually accomplishing this great and I call it as a great uh, challenge to get from that far all the way to the end. So the next one that we're going to do, it's going to be separate, and that's going to be the punt returns. But this is the kickoff returns for um, well, this is kickoff return. So the punt, it looks like the punt return. There's some data out there for the punt return. So I'll look at that and see if we're gonna do one special with that because I believe I started collecting with some of that as well. I'm also gonna do this for college. I want to go and see what college looks like. So we'll do another one with college by probably about a weekend. We'll have another one ready to come out that will say college because I did this one for the NFL, but we'll do one that says college to see what the college players are doing as it relates to their yardage and the longest yards for kick returns as well. So before I sign off, because I wanted to be quick and just get this out here, because I'm like really excited. I want to see. I want to bring up the others, and there's a few more that I want to do. I'm kind of behind on my schedule, so I'm gonna have to really catch up because we're already in what week 9, week 8 of this of the NFL, and I want to in college. We're midway as well, pretty much. So I'm looking forward. Allergy, sorry. I'm looking forward to the opportunity to bring you all of this good data that needs to be updated. Hopefully, like I said, we can get some more additions this year added to this list. So I put a notice out to all the special team players who return the kickoffs. You got some work to do. You got some challenges here to be able to meet, and let's see who does what and when. So the other thing I wanted to bring out is one other thing I wanted to say. What's that? Um, Now there is a database out there with the number of yards for kickoff returns, but I didn't want to do that. I just wanted to go by the longest yards. I thought that was more impressive and more standout to me than the cumulative yardage per players, because that's out there. Who has the highest number of cumulative uh, yards of with the team or in their career? But the longest yards to me is the most. There's one other thing I'm going to do in a closeout. Remember when I first started um, who to watch sports, uh, specifically for NFL because we cover all sports, but with NFL is I wanted to challenge the team that could possibly match the Dolphins schedule. Well, guess what? It looks like the only team left standing right now who has a zero with no losses is Kansas City Chiefs. So, Kansas City, are you trying to say Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs? Are you all trying to say that you're ready to see if you can meet that challenge? It's halfway through. Let's see what you can do. That means you would go and win all your games, remaining games, and all the playoff games and the Super Bowl. So that would mean if you did that this year, you would be accomplishing two historical aspects of your team's history. One, it would be your three-peat because you're going for the third Super Bowl again if you win that, and then the main one to me would well the three-peat would be a history in itself, but then the other history that you would have is you would be able to match the Dolphins' schedule or accomplishment of going a whole season without any losses and winning a Super Bowl. And you might be able to pass them because I think you all may be playing more games than they play. So this will be very interesting to see. Let's see what Kansas City is going to do. How they go. But I tell you what, I think the teams I told you as well, I'm looking at the teams that pretty much who were part of that last playoff from the wild card up to the Super Bowl teams. Those teams are coming in are playing with a vengeance, and they really are. So I'm going to do a recap of that too. Who those teams are and where they stand right now as far as midway, because I believe well, you can't say anything right now. It really goes all the way to the end of the season. So we'll see. But excuse me, allergies. we'll see what happens when we can record and see right now where we stand with 9 weeks in, and what those teams, how they're accomplishing, what they look like on the scoreboard right now as far as their presence is concerned. But there's a lot of changing and things that can happen. Now, one thing I do want to do is I'm definitely praying for the NFL, all teams and players and everyone on the staff and everyone, because right now there have been so many injuries. More so than I think I remembered at the beginning of the season. It just could be me. I'm a babe at this, so but I'm just seeing these type of injuries that are knocking people out for the season and whatnot. I'm like, oh my gosh. So we need to really, keep these players covered, keep their bodies covered, because there's still life after football. So we're definitely going to be praying that they have a easy transition from um, those who have been injured to a very good recovery without any major issues to their bodies and debilitating injuries to the point that they can't play the game anymore, and or that they are it looks like their comeback may be longer than period than what they would like. So we're definitely covering them for that. But and all their travels. Now I want to close on this part. I am so excited to see that the NFL has picked up what I was thinking a while ago from a marketing standpoint, which I think is really good marketing for them, is to be able to start now taking the NFL overseas. Because what I'm thinking is going to happen is not only are there countries and nations and or businessmen who really want to get in the game now and have it on their turf. That's one thing. The second thing is the expansion of the NFL presence throughout the world gives it more prominence and also an opportunity to expand the game around the world. So this is the one thing that I have said. For all those players who didn't make the draft, for all those young players who came out of college, didn't get picked or whatever, if I was really glad I'm not into the business on the business side. If I was on the business side, I would do three things. One, I would look at the NFL internationally, and just like they just played in Brazil and whatever other places they play, London, I would go ahead and build a team to come in behind that to keep that appetite. Not just, the NFL's coming in to do it, but the NFL could have maybe like how the basketball has like a G squad or G team, G league. I'm sorry. So I would kind of develop another league using those players who didn't get on a team, and either build a league, a separate league, or a baby, not baby league, but a B league, so to be. The NFL's A league, the B league. I would and I would go ahead and have those players when they don't get paid like the NFL players, but they get to play. They get to build the presence of the NFL with that nation going forward, even after the NFL team comes over. They get an opportunity to play. They get an opportunity to get paid. They get an opportunity to build even players within those countries. I think it would be a great business idea for anyone. It seems like it's a billionaire club now that's doing these. But I think they're going to start if the NFL doesn't start look at something like that. What's going to happen is those investors in those countries are going to probably start trying to develop their own league and or their own teams or whatever to kind of. So I would try to keep my footage and and I'm not saying they can't the NFL can't have that separate league, that B league, and then go ahead and I don't even know if this makes sense. This is me from marketing. This is what I'm thinking. The B league would go ahead and be the team. That way, these young men who still are young, who still can play, who still can give a good game, still can play well, um, can still have opportunity to play and extend their lifetime, their legacy, or extend their time playing, even on a semi-professional, if you want to call it semi-professional, but I would still say professional. And then they also get an opportunity to help those other players who may be over in those countries that don't have an opportunity to play to be able to see the game and maybe be able to come and be a part of that league and build it. I mean, it's just so big now, and the world is getting smaller. So, we're watching games over in Brazil and London and wherever else they're getting ready to do. That's the first thing I said I would do. The second thing is I would do if I was over here in America and I was a successful, had the money to miss, I would invest in five or three. I would say the NFL should expand to 3 to 5 more states to have a team. As a matter of fact, you can take my first scenario and take the G and take a B league and put it in those states that don't have a NFL team. One, you build up the you again you offer the all these young men in college and all these young men who didn't get picked in the draft, all these young men who are still young enough to still play. You even get maybe some veterans who still have a little heart to play that can go out and teach and to build and develop the next. You could build with that and have 3 to 5 new teams. That's like a separate league that you could. That's a part of the NFL, but would be a G League or whatever. Or there may be other leagues out there that are developing that we don't know about. That would be good too. But I really would focus more on those guys who didn't get a chance to play in the major league that were good enough coming from those college teams, and those who may have, you know, uh, didn't got cut for whatever reason, still have some more life. I would play them. I either play them overseas or in America. I would get some billionaires together and start 3 new teams and put them in states that don't have a team. I think it's very important to put them in states that don't have a team because now what you're doing is you're developing that state, and you're building revenue for that state. And so it would be great. I think it would be great. I don't know if it will work, but now that I put it out there, and if you all do it, then you can give me a cut. um, but I think from a ingenuity, there's enough out there still. There's enough out there still, and even with the number of players, I know with the number of teams we have, it's still short to me. It's still not all comprehensive. And what I like about my suggestion regarding the college team, taking those college kids, college is so much more fun. But and I will say this year the NFL's coming playing. They playing like they got a little bit of that college fever. But college is so much fun because those guys are just playing with so much heart and so much speed and so much feather. And it's just the fans. And, you got the young people. By the time you get to the NFL, that's really seems like it's more. It does look more business related and it kind of it's okay, but the energy that I feel when I see the college teams playing and there's still that presence, and I just think that you can have the best of both worlds by doing something like that. So hopefully some other successful businessmen who can afford to when I say miss, everything's an investment, I know, but be able to build those teams that through states that could use that type of revenue generating, that can build, that really can, you know, um, carry the numbers and um, and be a big influence to add to the roster. If you're not going to add it to the NFL roster, then create that B league and go for it. And I believe you still would do very well with that as well. So, just a side note for that. So we got the Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs to see if they're going to do the zeros, keep the zeros going all the way through the Super Bowl and win. And then if they're going to do the three-peat, even if they lose, they get to the Super Bowl and win again and do three-peat. That's history. There's one other thing historically that I thought that Brady was going to do. And I was excited when he did go to Tampa because I was like, what would happen if this man could go to, let's just say, okay, so he's a GOAT because he's gotten so many rings. Okay, that's one thing. But that was with one team. Now he's added another, well, not all of them now. He's got another team that he added. But what would happen if he could go to, like, if he did every, um, what is it called? Every division, and took a team that had never been to the Super Bowl. That's another thing. Yeah, I got to say that. That took a team that had never been to the Super Bowl and they got a Super Bowl ring, and built that team. The same thing. Now that's another thing I'm looking at. I want to see what players, what teams, and I told you there were two. I know Cleveland, I think, was one, and there were two other teams out there that had never been to a Super Bowl. That's There's some teams that have never been attended a Super Bowl, and then there's some teams um, that have gone but have never won. So we got a lot of teams that have never won, and we've got a lot of teams, and we got a few teams that's never been. So those are some other dynamics of who to watch. Who to watch? Can we find? Can we have any of those teams that have never been to the Super Bowl end up in the Super Bowl and win? That would be very, very interesting to see. They would have to get past Mahomes though, and maybe Ravens Lamar because he's coming back with a vengeance as well, and a few others. So it'll be interesting to see, but it's very exciting. I love that I'm doing this now. I was a little hesitant at first, but that's the marketing side of me to see something different that's not out there and try to put it out there and see. So we're gonna take this story to another level. This is the first our first season, and we're gonna take this. We're babies, but we're gonna grow this to a whole nother dimension. So we're looking forward to it. Thank you so much for watching Who to Watch Sports NFL, specifically the kickoff return class of 105 yards or more, 106 yards or more is who I mentioned, but there are some out there, players out there. In total, like I said, there are 19 altogether. So from 105 yards or more. So we know that the 100-yard class is good. There are a lot of them, but now that we've gotten this expansion from 105 to 110, I'm looking to see who's going to start filling in those numbers from the 106 to 110, where we have a lot of voids. We don't have anybody pretty much in the 20s, 2024 or 2020 and above. So we want to see what young people out there now on these teams can go ahead and match or add themselves to those records. Have a good one. We look forward. Thank you for watching Who to Watch Sports NFL. Uh, this particular session on featuring the 105 plus kick return touchdowns. And so we look forward to some more very interesting information we're going to add to the next one that we do. Take care and see you soon. Enjoy the games this week